it won't do it unless we push them. So nobody should be under any illusion that simply going to them and say, look, I'm being discriminated over there by somebody, they're going to jump into action. Because in so many cases, they are a vehicle of protecting the status quo. And we should also recognize that. They see their role. Many years I was told by a senior official, it was unfortunately or fortunately not somebody who was elected, but a bureaucrat. He says, well, we wouldn't have a union if the bosses weren't here. So we're somehow in this sort of symbiosis relationship with them. You know, they provide a job and we provide a membership fee for somewhere for the membership fee to go. And we need to get them out of that. And what I would say is the next stage is that can we find a way to concretize our advice to Black members? I think there should be a separate induction for Black members who join trade union. That there should be a how to get your union to do the right thing. Now, we get blindsided because, oh, there's a Black structure down there. Oh, so they must be doing it. Well, it's not the case. And I think that there is, and I don't want to set any tall orders for people. I think that one of the things I complained to Aysha about is that she's moving too fast and she's not really boxing very clever. Yeah, you need to be, what's the word? I don't want to say smart because that sounds sneaky, but you need to be strategic about how you say it. Yeah. My mother used to say that, you know, you can get something off your chest without losing your shirt, you know, and be able to do that in that way. Because I know for a fact that many members who are paying their money in the trade union movement are not getting the service that they deserve. Not only Black members, but many, many members. But at the sharp end, because we're the people who are normally thrown in the sharp end, if we don't get it, then we become a greater victim. And I know legal service, you know, representation is important. We can't ignore that. But when it goes so wrong that you need legal intervention, throughout all my years here, I have experienced so much of them failing to provide legal service. Now, funny enough, Akic, within Unison, I am told that the structure is such that the committee, Black Members Committee, can intervene if you're denied legal assistance. I don't have any examples of it, but this is what I'm told. And so we need also to challenge the concept of the legal service being provided to Black members within trade union. I think it's a key part because I actually think that they are recognized. We don't have to scratch very far the surface that within that aspect, lots of people are losing their jobs. Lots of people are becoming a victim of not only the racism at the shop floor, but the racism of the trade union to fight that. You know, it's easy to perhaps speculate that a lot of time the bosses and some trade union official have their own relationship. That's true. It's true. The structure should protect people from that kind of corruption. I know they're not used to calling things in the West corrupt, but that's what it is. A corruption. It is. Believe that there's a relationship with the bosses and themselves. So I would say that we need to examine the service being offered by trade unions. We're fortunately or unfortunate that most of the legal service now goes through Thompson. They've gained a reputation as the union lawyers. I know there are lots of other lawyers around that does trade union work, but I think the majority of trade unions, certainly ours, Unison, and a number of others, are predominantly being served by Thompson. I think we have another lawyer in Scotland as well. But the point is that we can focus on how does the trade union movement deliver legal service, because if you've been dismissed whilst you've been screaming out against racism, the chances are the employer have got the information tied down. So when they present their case to your lawyer in the language that they use, it completely cuts you out. So trade unionists have a very mountain against them to climb over, and unless the officers, the reps, etc., are clued up and ready to challenge their own legal service, that injustice continues. And so I think that's an important area that we ought to tackle. Yes, representation at the shop floor is also important. I'm going to leave that one for the time being, but legal service, I think our people, our members, what's the word, are a victim of an institutional racism that doesn't seem to feel any guilt or shame. And we have to try and make them feel guilty and ashamed.
Thanks, Glenroy. Absolutely right. Ebony's got a hand up for some time. I just wanted to say one thing before she says anything, is that I think, as you said, a separate section for Black members, but I think that white members need to be co-opted into that, to listen and learn and to take orders from Black members who have got leadership places and leadership skills and vision for the future. And I think there's a lot to be done in educating white members on how they can listen, reflect, and learn. Ebony, do you want to say something now, or you? No.
Can I say, Ebony has a peculiar work situation because she's at work, but some of the attacks we've received as workers is that people end up being lone workers. So she's a supervisor, but not supervising anyone because she's actually forced to look after the whole station. So she's probably dealing with a passenger or something. She might be free now. Okay.
If she is,
Ebony, if you're free.
If not.
There you go.
Now I'm free.
Yeah, good.
As Glenroy said, I'm not actually. I do a lot of lone working, so everything is on me. I do agree that we do need a strategy. We can't go in gung ho, because at the end of the day, if we're not smart in how we approach things, then we're the ones who will get the blame, and we're the ones who will be found guilty, and the actual guilty ones will play the victim. That's what guilty people do. They play the victims, and then anybody who actually pulls them up on their wrongdoing, then they're very manipulative. I know I said before that RMT can't be trusted in doing the homework because they can't, and I have no confidence that the General Secretary of RMT will actually do anything, to be honest. Otherwise he would have done it by now. But I mean, I think that what needs to happen is that a strategic measure, and I've been trying to think about it for the past few weeks, and the things that I'm thinking about doesn't involve being strategic in a clever way. But they need to be brought into account. They need to answer questions. They need to answer questions, but they haven't answered. And the longer they continue not being asked any questions, then they think that they've won, and that is dangerous. When you have a general secretary who turns up at your conference and says, we need Black members, well, what does that actually mean? We need black members. What we need black members? What to make us look? What to make them look good? What to you know, say that, you know, oh, here, you know, we have black members at head office, so therefore, you know, we can't be, you know, we can't be tarnished with a nasty brush. You know, what does that actually mean? You know, you want black members, fine. You need to support them. You need to represent them. You need to represent them, you know, without prejudice. And right now, and I'm not talking. And when I say representatives, I don't mean the ones at local level. I'm talking about the ones at Unity House. Okay. The ones at local level are fine. They're absolutely fantastic. I'm talking about the people at Unity House. That is where the crux of the problem is. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree that, you know, we need to be strategic. And that is the next step. And the next step is to be strategic to the point where they'd have to answer questions, because right now they're sitting pretty in the ivory tower and they're laughing at us.
Yeah. Thanks, Ebony. Okay. Jackie, do you just want to come in there quickly before I see Aisha's got her hand up, but just before she does, just as on that role of that need and that collaboration?
I think this is exactly the same situation that is happening all across the left at the moment. How do you break through these structures of power, which are actually deeply, deeply conservative? And the problem is there's only one way of really doing it. And as has been said, you know, what we need is black members to make themselves known and to act in solidarity with others. And I can't see any way around that, really, of somehow trying to build some grassroots support amongst, you know, because who does most of the work in London? Seriously.
Yeah.
Who does most of the physical work in London? It's black people, honest to God. I mean, you know, all you got to do is live in London to know that. What we need, though, is some way to access those people. And that's what our problem is accessing those people. And I don't know how you do that. I just don't know how you do that unless you have, you know, those union structures to work from. So I'm not, you know, maybe this might be something that Ebony might have something to say about. I'm not sure how, I mean, and the thing is, these kind of resistance movements have been built outside formal structures. That's how the civil rights movement worked. That's how they built themselves, was by people talking to people, talking to people. And somehow we've got to go around the structures that are at the moment and actually have almost like playing some kind of, I don't know, almost like pyramid selling. You know, if one person said, this week, every week, I'm going to talk to 10 people about this and get them, or, you know, and I'm going to get those 10 people to talk to another 10 people or something like that. But I don't see how we're going to use the normal structures for this, because this is actually fundamentally challenging those structures of power, and they will defend themselves. We've seen this time and time again, and very recently. So, you know, that's what I think.
Yeah. Exactly. It has to be outside of those existing power structures. Okay, Aysha, you wanted to come in here.
So the reason I'm late is because I'm disorganized, but actually we went to see Sister Ebony, me and my mum. So we were literally talking. I think she looks so cool from her station. And I thought it'll be easier to see Sister Ebony than Sister Mel, who, like Brother Glenroy, drives a train, because then they have shifts and stuff. Whereas if she's stationary, then we can literally see her. So that's what we were up to And Amersham, oh my God. I'm sure it's lovely. We never got to see any of it. Bit like where Jim lives in London. Fantastic. Brother Saeed is coming. So the things I wanted to talk about, my hope is, I wonder if we think there's enough material here for media to pick us up. Do we feel like that? Do you think there's no one's going to pick us up? Okay. That was my hope, that we are so happy.
Media, listen, just let me tell you, as somebody who has tried this game for a long time, it's not that they're not, it's not even that they're not interested. It's worse than that they're not interested. It's worse than that they're not interested. It is against their interests to pick this kind of thing up, which is why I keep saying you have to work. If it's going to happen, you have to find a way of having your own communication networks and working without it, really.
Wow. So, you know, the TSSA, the Women and Harassment of Union, that took off quite well. And I felt on Monday, it was predominantly white women, you know, and like you said, what you said, Sister Jackie, just to big up an important sister, Maxine Luby, who won UCU vice president role. And she was saying, you know, you have to get around it and all of that, and she won it. And I see with Brother Glenroy, you know, when I turn up to African Congress, hence the inspiration for this, they built their own structure, and me sort of have built the structure without actually knowing what I was doing. I guess, so no one's going to feel sorry for us and feel shocked by us. What on earth is this? Maybe the humor of it will, no? Nobody wants to know us. Maybe the Real News Network will think of us and send us to Guardian. Please, Allah. Okay, desperation has kicked in. Brother Saeed, I wonder, maybe Brother Saeed has made such an effort to join us. It'll be good to hear kind of Islamophobia that we experience, because I've been all around the block and I've suffered from Unison racism, UCU and IWGB. And maybe Brother Saeed would like to tell us a bit more. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Saeed. It'd be lovely to see you as well. Brother Saeed, can you hear us?
Saeed, Brother Saeed.
Brother Saeed? Assalamu alaikum, brother.
If not, I think Glenn
activated. He's not activated his audio system.
His audio,
notices, there's no icon. No, so if he's listening, you need to press the little green or icon that look like a microphone or headphone. I'm not sure.
So
Okay.
you have
Shall
your
I
hand
talk
up.
about it then?
Yeah.
No, let's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just to say, Jackie is right in the sense of, you know, it's not going to be some sort of panacea, but I do think that there are things that you can do to attract the attention. It is about what's going on. For example, if this discussion we were having was, for example, when the Tony Sewell report was being done, you know, we could probably latch onto that and said, here are some other things that even he didn't even bother to look at, you know, how ridiculous his report was. But I think it's about timing. I think Jackie's right. You can't just get up one morning and say, let's expose the racism or the failure of the trade union to do what it's supposed to do. But I also wanted to say that when I was a member of the TUC Race Relations Committee, we went through a period, I think, where there were people who were willing to fight the institution from within. In other words, we had people on the Race Relations Committee, and you know, trade unions are very, I nearly said protective, but I'm sure there's another word for it. But unlike other people from other trade unions, giving advice even to members of their union, and literally object to that. And you go to TUC, they would actually defend that. But what we did as a TUC Race Relations Committee is we went to other trade unions, especially those who black members were telling us that we're trying to get a black members group going here. I'm talking about many years ago, obviously not recent. And we went there to assist them, especially say the FPU. We were very instrumental in helping them set up a black structure, ASLEF and places like that, you know. So really, at the end of the day, there is a job of work inside the institution. Unfortunately, I think the crop of people we have within the currently in the Race Relations Committee are not really pushing on anything, are not pushing against anything. And, you know, I don't think we should know the character of people who are taking up this role. That are they doing so because they want to make change and make a difference? Are they doing that because there's a position? You know, and quite often people put themselves up because they want the badge that goes with it. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jackie, I'm not
Or more.
taking you about your job, your badge. And to remind you, by the way, that of some of the precisely the thing we're talking about here that went on when we invited Jackie. I think it was Edinburgh when they come to Edinburgh, and the General Secretary mysteriously received a phone call when Jackie was speaking. And then the secretary, who both didn't want Jackie to be there, also received a call, and they were both outside the room. I don't know if they were calling each other, but it was extraordinary that they were out the room at the same time. And those are the things that goes on. It doesn't show, Jackie. I don't know how much you knew or how much Glenn may have told you, but it was literally a fight within that. Our union to get somebody who was currently suffering the kind of attacks within the Labour Party that they ultimately led to Jeremy being removed as leader. So hang on, you don't want to hear that, you don't want to talk about it. You've made a decision that we shouldn't be subject to that. Other members shouldn't hear her story. It doesn't mean whether you agree with it or believe it or not. It's our right to engage and to understand, you know. So it was rather extraordinary. So that's there as part of the structure that we have to realize. So I'm suggesting it's a two-pronged thing. We need something that doesn't respect the borders and boundaries within the trade union movement. As black members, we should bond together and help each other, advise each other. At some point, however, somebody will say, hang on, why is ASLEF members telling RMT this and why blah, blah, blah. So that's to come. But I think for the time being, the way we should do this is that we offer an opportunity for those who are suffering from racism within the trade union movement. And that's the approach we should take, not this union or that union, the movement as a whole, is something we want to help in changing that situation, and we want to do so by you know, pick an area that you feel is more severe, either the right of representation at the workplace. I mentioned the legal aspect because I think that is doing a lot of damage. You know, it's the route out of the industry, because once the employer has his way at the shop floor, and the trade union does not assist in putting up resistance to that, you're out. Even when we win cases at tribunal and the union is not prepared to fight for reinstatement, which is also another thing. Now, people have to overcome the idea that, do I want to go back to this place? These people are horrible sometimes, because that's what tribunal is. It gets you your job back. But do you really want to go back? So unless there is a movement, a fighting spirit on the shop floor, i.e. people are so informed, they understand how incensed they should be about this, then going back means you've defeated that element. But if you simply go into a tribunal, no publicity, no nothing about the injustice, you win your case, you might get some money, and you might get your job back, but the bosses are under no obligation to take you back, unless, as I always say, there is a strong industrial activity behind any industrial tribunal or employment tribunal, it's now called. So it is an area. I think we can do it. It won't be done overnight, and I think that's an important point that Jackie was making, that we need to work on this. When we reach out to others and we realize, as you said earlier on, Jim, about the role that white workers have to play within fighting racism, and we find out who is willing to step up, that's also another move forward. That, you know, and to be quite honest, you talk about real news, still inform them. Doesn't matter whether they pick it up or do anything with it. This is a building process. So continue to explain, continue to say that there is an issue here that has to be addressed, and you can't ignore it forever. And 5 years from now, which is, I think, Comrade, you mentioned about the TSSA, can say, look, I told you this. This isn't me coming to you to complain today. So our recording here, our acknowledgement of this is obviously a way for us to say, look, this is something that needs to be looked at.
Part of the evidence. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Glenroy. So Khadija made an interesting point in the chat. Khadija, do you want to just expand on that, on how you feel that listening to what Jackie said would be important? Are you there, Khadija? Or maybe you can't speak. So
yeah, I think Sister Khadija doesn't want to, yeah. Shall we let Brother Saeed speak, see if it works?
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to that point.
He still hasn't got his microphone on, though,
I think he has. Sure. No?
Has he?
Are you able to see these things? Oh, Brother Saeed, are you able to speak?
No, I don't think so.
He hasn't got his, oh man, never mind. Brother Saeed, for some reason, your microphone isn't working. Do you want to come back and click on the microphone where it says join in? Should we give him numbers, Jim? Or do we have, that would be too difficult now, isn't it, to go and get the numbers? The dialing in numbers.
Oh, I think we've got some good points here. I think it's sort of like looking back on what Jackie said about how we
I'll try calling Brother Saeed again. Shall I put Brother Saeed on speakerphone? Shall I call him on the phone and then he speaks to us and we can hear him? That could be a way, isn't it?
Give it a try. Give it a try. Yeah. But taking Jack, really, this is a matter where we really need to work together, and collaborate in order to be able to make some efforts there. And it's going to need.
And then you can tell them your experience.
No, we can't hear you there, Aysha.
No?
No.
Brother Saeed, can you speak up?
I am muffled.
Yeah. Speak up. You can hear me now?
Yeah. What shall I say then? I don't know. What should I say?
About what you experienced with IWGB. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can.
We can hear a little.
I can hear a little.
I hear you, but I don't know what I'm going to say. Where I'm going to start.
What was your experience with IWGB?
I suspect, Aysha, plagiarism is not an issue. So you listen to what he says and you can repeat it to us. I think it might be easier.
You know what I'm going to experience is
I think Brother Saeed, what might be better is if you try joining in again. This time, there's an icon. It says join in by cellular or Wi-Fi or something like that. You need to click on that, and then it lets you join. I try my time. No, I'm not gonna be. I can't hear what you're saying, or I can't. Oh. I can't hear what I'm saying,
Okay, I think we recognise the fact that Saeed is a member of the International Workers of Great Britain and has.
Saeed, I'll have to let you go. And has. Don't worry, I'll let you go.
And has worked with Aysha.
Yeah. I can explain what happened. Actually, I can explain it.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you explain Saeed's position and what he experienced in IWGB?
Yeah, essentially what happened is we wanted to, long story short, we wanted to elect Muslim officer, and what they did is effectively vote trick. Yeah, that's the long story short. And it was horrendous to see it. General Secretary, branch president, they started debating the motion, which was very unusual. Then they said, when it passed very narrowly, they said, so-and-so hasn't voted. Sorry. Oh God, I think I've got a WhatsApp call coming. Oh
Okay.
my God.
So
oh, Majestic Marvina. We like Majestic Marvina. Bear with me. Hi, Majestic Marvina. If you want to join us, that would be really good. We're still there. Sister Jackie has left, but Brother Glenroy is there. Sister Ebony is there. We're there. Jim, Sister Khadija, Brother Akic. I'll send you the link directly.
Okay, and so we showed that in many unions, in every union, I would say, racism exists, and that the opportunities for addressing that are limited by the structures which are there in the unions. And the only way that we can overcome this is by working together. And I think that's a key point on the in the way forward. Glenroy, do you want to add to that before Marvina comes in?
Yeah, just to say that this idea about the structure is being used very, very regularly. You know, one of the things that they say is, oh, this person's not been to the branch for a long time, has never been to the branch. Well, if you're an organizer and you need to ensure that issues are represented by Black members, etc., you have a responsibility to go out and encourage those or engage those Black members. But you see, that's used. I mean, I don't know where we were going, Aysha, with the issue about voting, but I can see perhaps somebody say, "Oh, John isn't here, and he would have voted this way or that way." Now, how do you know that?
Yeah.
You know, so people get that situation. And the union rulebook is another demon that they think that they understand it more than anybody else, and then that they're quoting from rules such and such. With the WhatsApp and what have you, I would say, well, okay, well, post it here. Let me see what it is you're talking about. I've made myself familiar with the rule, but the rules change, and sometimes the interpretation is what. So post it here, so let's all see it. So we need to challenge that. People are going to quote the rule. Show us it, because rules are largely subject to interpretation. And we must bear that in mind and not be blinded by the attempted science or experience. Doesn't mean, of course, the rules are not there, and we don't have these rules in order to protect the union and protect genuine concern. But it's not a stick to beat people over the head. And if you actually believe that, because somebody doesn't attend a meeting but pays his or her sub, shouldn't somehow be entitled to participate is absurd.
Yeah.
But it is a watchword, because it sometimes is a tool that people use to bring people in who've not been participating, and try and get them to block others, and that happens as well. So both ways, we have to say that it requires more than just your endorsement of seeing a drinking buddy every month or every other branch meeting, and I'm somebody who participates in that, but I don't believe that should be a barrier. So again, one of the things Aysha, we're learning and should be learning about the tools that are available and how we can make that work. I love to see these guys on our railway, great.
Yeah.
But our sister's
Fantastic.
joined in, so I think you wanted to call her.
Yeah. Marvina, do you want to say a few words about your experience and how you can how we can work together?
Hi everyone, it's been.
Hi Marvina.
Hi, Ali. Hi, Uncle Jim. Hi, Uncle. I say uncle and auntie to everybody.
Yeah.
And how can I help? I think we need to look at the angle of the racial trauma linked to the impacts for staff, because a lot of our communities, when it comes to the mental health and well-being, we need to be able to hold trade unions and reps accountable for some of the microaggressions linked to mental health inequalities that we face at the workplace. We need to use the languages that they might be able to respond to. I think that's obviously coming from the fact that we know that the numbers of sick days and the anxiety of going into workplaces that we know are toxic and hostile to us, we don't use those words. We need to start using those kind of things, looking at the NHS England's new data around how migrant staff feel at work. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just thinking it's a new angle for us to look at. Everybody is trying to become trauma informed. I think we're all hearing that word, trauma informed, but racial trauma as itself has not been spoken about. Bearing in mind today marks 2 years since George Floyd was killed. We all had a collective trauma that we still haven't healed for. We also have things like the fact that over the weekend, we're seeing our children in the system being maltreated, whether it's the boy that lost his 2 fingers, the autistic Black girl who was stopped, strip searched on a period, you know, like it becomes such a norm and we just carry on like nothing has happened to us. By us then implementing stuff saying that, well, you're giving us a mental trauma, it hits them where the money is. Do you understand what I mean? Because we're saying you're making us too sick to be at work. And no one can deny that then when you then look at hospitality and the impact of what that looks like. So I think we need to look at bringing data when it comes to activism around trade union, being more strategic on who are the system leaders in the conversation and who do we hold accountable. Whose purse strings is going to be affected by this, and how do we start looking at reparative justice conversation on a strategic EDI kind of conversation style. So if you start using their policies and procedure as the way to really hold them accountable, you can tailor the conversation and your proposals based on that. So I've been doing that with NHS in Leeds, where at the moment I've got the portfolio for children and young people, where on a strategic level, I challenge the system around mental health inequalities that affect minority ethnic children. How I've been trying to get a lot of resources and funding is to start looking at research-based impact. And I think in the trade unions, we've not looked at that, on research and the impact of racism on the well-being of the staff. Also making sure that we have trauma-informed ways of working and cultural humility, not competency. So cultural humility means that you're having to aspire to make sure you're building an allyship program in the organizations to support migrant staff when they're going through stuff. So those are the kind of solutions that I'm coming up with, and creating an equal ways of maybe building an anti-racist platform. If it is Black-led, it has to be Black-led, you know what I mean? If it is ethnic minorities, then you say minority ethnic groups, but we need to be specific what we're saying. That's what I'm gonna say, put it. Sorry I'm late, everyone. There's been a lot that's been going on. I don't know if it makes sense. If there's anyone that has questions based on what I've suggested or some content. But we also need to make sure that there's funding that we are getting. I know people don't like to talk about funding, but when people pay the cost for the damage they create, they value it. When you give people things for free, I think people like us in this space can be lived experience like consultants in helping organizations and trade unions improve. And if trade unions want to work with migrant staff or migrants with lived experience of racism, our time needs to be compensated. I'm not doing anything for any, Uncle, I'm gonna say this, we call it Oyibo. I'm not doing anything for the Europe-centric system for free no more, because they have taken a lot from us moving forward. So that's, if anyone has questions or anything to add to that, I would really appreciate to know about that.
Okay. I see Ebony's got a hand up. So, but I was just going to say that really, the people who are most vulnerable and most discriminated against, they don't trust these existing structures. And we really have to reach out and give them the means to trust the structures, which includes unions. But that's my view of it, and I'm not sure that we could do that. Ebony, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I did. Hi, Marvina. One of the things I wanted to add as well that, that I don't think will work is, having an education. We hear about, and I'll explain. We're hearing about police officers, being given an education on cultural differences and, and so forth in order to deal with Black people. Okay. And that's not going to work, because at the end of the day, you can give them you can give them all the education in the world. You can teach them all the different cultural differences in the world. You can teach them all the mannerisms that we possess in the world, and it will make no difference. And that is in the structure of the police force. So, if anything like that was to be brought into the union force, given the type of people that we have in our union, or that's running our union, and I'm talking about the top here, not ground level, it's not going to make any difference. So, and what would make a difference? Because right now I'm still racking my brains into how to get these people accountable and how to get these people to admit their wrongdoing. So giving them all the education in the world is of absolute no use whatsoever, because they're going to take the information and they're going to use it against us.
So I would come to the angle of creating a kite mark and getting organizations to sign up to it if they say they want to be anti-racist. Being able to give a kite mark of saying, show me you're investing in, let's say investing in Black people kite mark. What are you doing proactively to say you're investing in your Black staff or your ethnic minority staff? And in that process, getting them to make a pledge. And then you need to see it as, with invested in people kite mark, people pay to get the assessments done to show that they have invested in people. Am I correct with that? With most of those kind of registration, we as a collective of people of minority or Black background, we can easily say enough is enough. And this is why it's very important for us to think about whether we're creating a union that is there to challenge the system on a strategic way, where we're saying we're creating a safe space where we'll hold people accountable, built on data, built on fact. The training doesn't really, it's almost like you're coming there to see if they've done the work that they needed to have done. If they've had so many complaints, let's say Unison now, and the NHS health staff workers and all the things they're going through, we're saying, okay, Unison, you've been told that all this has been happening. What have you done? Well,
Oh, you cut out there, Marvina. At least I can't hear you. Can you hear? Aysha?
It appears she's frozen.
Yeah.
When
Aysha?
Sister Khadija, I know she was trying to protect me. She said, listen to Sister Jackie's advice and take. And when I heard what she said, I just felt a wave of depression come by, because if you think about how I organized this meeting, it's just not bad. What do we think? If I may ask for some approval from top man, legend, as I've been saying, Secretary General, Brother Glenroy, what do you think? Not bad, is it?
It happens, we've got. No, that's in itself an achievement.
We managed to
But
get
while you
big
brought
name
it,
Jackie Walker. It's not bad, is it?
while you doing that, Jim and Aysha, do you have a time for this? Because
I think.
But yeah, no, my sister, it was done in a very short time, and you've done it, and please be very proud of that. It is about stages, as Jim has said, you know, we're next, and I
Where
think that
next?
we
Yeah,
do
that
this
was my question.
incrementally. Yeah.
Mm,
As somebody said,
mm.
how do you eat an elephant? Does anybody
Yeah,
know the
that's true.
answer to that?
Yes.
How do you eat an elephant?
Stages, bit by bit in
One
stages.
bite
Bite
at a one
size,
bite at
bite
a
At a
time.
time.
size.
One
And
bite at a time.
and I feel, you know, sense of depression come over because I thought, yeah, we're going to record our testimony. And I was thinking, God, you know, maybe, you know, today on the 25th, but I don't know. It's not obviously not to be opportunistic, but I just
No,
think,
don't
no,
be put off. What Jackie is saying is that it won't just explode. You don't
Yeah.
send this recording to somebody and suddenly it's in the Daily Mail. I don't know why I said Daily Mail.
they're the last
Of all
people.
the-
Who knows? They might actually want us. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's incrementally.
Where
got
shall
to
we
do
go
that.
next? I guess.
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
talk
and,
about my
and
suffering, and I thought we talk
yeah,
about shocking what happened to us with trade
yeah.
union, you know, with Unison. And I think maybe, who knows, we might go viral. Maybe if we send it to Channel 4, please,
I think
somebody out there.
no.
That would be
I
good,
think the thing
actually.
is that's not in your control, though. That's Aysha. That is the kind of thing where you keep putting yourself in that position. You keep having to. You keep
Hoping.
have that. And then at one stage, something will happen which will take it off. And, you know, you just have to keep making sure you make those connections, you build those, strengthen those bonds between different people, between different groups, and then eventually it will happen. Yeah, Ebony.
Can I just say that, you know, I do two radio shows.
Mm.
So that's a connection right there. I have to go to another meeting shortly. And also, you know, a YouTube channel.
We have
be.
YouTube channel. Yeah, I post them. They become a bit too Aysha centric, but this is where this is going to go. All I would say is, Brother Glenroy, and, you know, where we got all the important people, where shall we go next? I mean, for Brother Akic, we've been able to do something simple, which is we've been able to put pressure on his branch secretary. His branch secretary is in our group and he watches what we do. And through our group, without a doubt, he found strength. You know, he needed his own people. Just like when I go to African Congress, your meetings, I find strength because I can totally relate to, you know, that trade union racism. And I find the Black politics or the African politics makes sense to me. And I don't know if the Muslim community has that or not. But my point is, where should we take our group to? Because then the wave of depression comes in. Because like you said, I want to get things done fast. You know, you're here, we achieved it. And you're here for decades now. And I think, God, decades of my life. I've only been like 2 years.
You'll be here in a decade's time, and you'll be saying, yes, what have you done? And it's bite-sized. You know, getting Akic into that kind of position is one bite, another bite next week, another bite. Everything is just, as Glenroy says, you know, just small steps along that way. And we've got to rely upon the fact that that's going to work. Not only that, not just in the UK, but also globally. Anyway, anyone want to have a last point?
Just
We're
to
going to
say,
stop in about a minute. Yeah,
yeah, just to say that, you know, it is the case, and it should be said, that a group of trade unionists concerned about racism within the trade union have met today to look at how we can influence changes within the trade union movement. That doesn't suggest that, you know, we've got a live grenade and somebody's pulled a pin out already or anything. We're just saying we've met, we've had a discussion, we're going to continue that discussion, we're going to build on that, you know. But what can't be denied, and you should take solace from this, Aysha, is that it's happened. We've had this event, we've had this conversation. It's a continuation of conversation that I understand has been happening within your group and so on. But you've now joined in with others. You've now widened the circle, and what you're saying is we're going to continue to have this discussion and be prepared, because we are going to bring this matter alive or to as many people as we can. Because one of the things we're doing is we're saying nobody should feel that they have to hide or be ashamed. Yeah, it's not saying that we will resolve it. I'm glad to hear what you said you did within Akim's structure. And some of that will also, I think, impact on us. What Ebony's saying about this, I don't want to call it impenetrable wall, but this attitude by our union And you know, she didn't really go into it, but the reality is our union is doubling down. The person we're complaining of is then making front page of our trade union news. So it's clear that they intend to just fly in our face, and they realize the racism, because one of the things they made sure is that there were a group of black people around this person that we're saying seemed to think it's okay to go along with what is a racist
Brother
symbol.
Akic was very angry about Eddie Dempsey face, and I think we should call it out. And I think what Sister Jackie said, if I can get it on the record, she says, you know, they'll make you the victim, and that's what happened. The UCU president then starts crying, and people start thinking, I'm the bad person.
Yeah. But you know, we also have to recognize we don't have to challenge them for them to do that. They'll do that anyway. You know, they sometimes see our skills before we do, or when before others see it. So they know what tree to chop down, because it might grow into an obstruction. So I'll leave it there.
Can I quickly
Thanks.
What shall we do in terms of
Got a hand up.
next steps? What do you think? What should we do?
Can I just quickly say, because I have to rush off to another meeting, is that the likes of, you know, the GS and the AGS, maybe they need to actually be called for a meeting, and to actually, because that's the only way right now I can think of that they can actually answer questions in front of a live studio audience.
But I mean, I asked the president for, you know, a meeting to discuss things. She just ignores you. President of UCU, they just ignore you. You know, I complained to IWGB about Islamophobia, vote rigging, even Muslim organization. We got nowhere. Well,
I'm just thinking that, you know, a group for us within RMT of all shades, basically, you know, to write a letter, a letter in Unison with all our names on it, asking for that discussion to happen. Whether it happens or not is another thing, but that's worth thinking about. So I've got to go because I've got another meeting to go to. It's been great, and I look forward to.
Thanks, Ebony, and thanks, Glenroy. Thanks, Akic. Thanks, Aysha.
I just want to say I feel really depressed. I just think, what do we do next?
No. Don't be depressed, because you've just done a very small piece in a very large jigsaw, and that's important. Each piece is important.
Yeah.
I'm
now going to go and look for a husband. That's the most depressing task. And that's what I was hoping to avoid, because I was rushing around getting people sorted. And that's probably why I'm feeling depressed. Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
I remember a story someone told me, you know, make sure it's not somebody else's husband, okay?
No. I mean, good Muslim, but just trying to get married.
No. But when you say you're going to look for a husband, you don't say, you should say you're looking for somebody to marry. Not say you're looking for a husband.
Oh, no. The person hopefully should not be married at all. No, not in this country anyway.
Somebody told me this story where the father said to the teenager, you know, you're getting on now. It's time for you to find a wife. So he thought for a moment. He said, I can't put up with all that fighting. The father said, what fighting? What are you talking about? He says, well, her husband for a start. Wife? No, never mind. Poor joke. Doesn't transmit on Zoom. Anyway, coverage.
Thanks, Glenroy.
I think I gotta go.
This made me cheer.
First step, not the only step.
Me and Jim will get together and decide what to do.
Keep your chin up. Okay. Jim, you're in Tanzania.
I am, yes.
Okay, I'm coming down there at some point, sooner or later. I'm planning to retire in Arusha.
In Arusha, okay. I'm not in Arusha. I'm in Mwanza, but
no.
You're welcome. You know, my daughter's in Dar es Salaam.
Okay, indeed, I was there in 2020, just before the pandemic. You know, but okay. Talk again.
Yeah,
Aysha, well done.
Yeah, we connected. Brilliant friendship.
Yeah.
So Jim, I guess if you're still here for a minute or two, I don't know, what do? We go back to the drawing board. We need to bring in more people.
This shows that these odds, you know, just taking a meeting now and then, it gives you an incentive. It gives you some new views. Gives you something else to work on. Don't don't get depressed about small things. The small things build up. You keep putting them into the jar, your pennies will become something valuable after a while. And this is what you're doing. You're putting those pennies in the jar every time we have those meetings. It's great.
Well, we got Sister Jackie. I guess she came. We got big names. Yeah, I don't know. We need more people like Brother Akic to come and be part of our loyal team.
Aysha, you don't need more people. You need to build those relationships with those. You've done that with some people. You've done that with Sister Donna. You've done that with Marvina. You've done that with Akic. You've done that with me. You've just got to keep building those relationships one by one. And it's not more people. It's better relationships with people.
That's what Sister Rose was
you're
saying.
right. Yeah.
Sister
You
Rose
don't need more
Griffiths.
people.
Yeah.
You need the right people in the right place and right good ideas, who can bring us good ideas, who can talk a positive way. And if they see us, we are doing well, they will join us without asking them. And others will join the others. You know, if we bring one can bring two can bring four. You never know. You know.
So maybe I've done enough of the people bringing. It's time for me to get to know the people. And so today was an example of me getting to know Sister Jackie. She got to see what I'm capable of, that I know big names. Brother Glenroy got to see me in my capabilities. And he talked to me about me in a personal level. He said, Aysha moves too fast for her own good. So that shows rapport building.
Actually, all the time Jim telling you like that. Jim always monitor you about that. He said, look, don't write too much, you know.
Well, I hope in 10 years' time, Jim, me and you and Brother Akic will be here together, and we would have broadened our circle in good health.
Actually,
and I think poor Jim wants to go to sleep. Just wants to go to sleep.
Yes.
About 10
I'm at the end of the day now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim, I'm sorry, my condolences to you, to your family. I'm really sorry that I heard about that.
No problem. No problem.
So just give it easy.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Thank you,
and my
Akic.
thoughts
I
are.
couldn't get time to get you up to phone you back, obviously, because no one here now. It's a recording.
Let's keep recording. It's fine.
It's still recording.
Yeah, recording
It's
is
still
fine.
recording.
I like recording. It shows us getting on as people.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to stop my recording now. Thank you.
You're
I
recording.
just want to pass. I'm going
recording.
home now. Finish the job site. I really got a headache from all the stress at work, you know.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Good to see you, Akic.
Yeah.
Okay,
They organize the other one.
My thoughts are with you.
We will do.
Agenda will bring
on different times. At different times. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we have Brother Akic's meeting tomorrow at 8 o'clock, Jim. Do you want to join to make Ryan feel like you as a nice white older person be nice to Ryan? Because he's going to think, you think there's a necessity for that?
Send me the link, but I'm not sure that I can make it because I've got some other things going on tomorrow, which will require a bit of time and effort to do.
And also, I think Ryan watches these videos, so he can see what nice white older men looks like. And he also has a nice younger white man called Alex, who we look up to. So he's got all the people, and it's time for him to reflect and think. And I'm learning, you can't really change some of the white men. If they want to change, rarely they do. If they do, or they don't.
That's
Brilliant.
True with everybody,
Let's let nice white men, Jim.
But some of them that good,
and
you know,
Jim,
yesterday I met Alex. Alex was talking positively. You know, I mean, actually, it's okay because I got a lot of people here.
Brother Akic, let's let Jim go. And Jim, our thoughts are with you on Saturday for your mum's memorial. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sleep well. Kind regards to your family.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Brother Akic. Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.